Joel Naroff. He's the economist and president of Naroff Economic Advisors in Philadelphia. And I asked him if the prices for amusement park tickets, well, they're here to stay.
Oh, I have little doubt that not only are these prices here to stay, but with Disney breaking the $100 barrier, you can be assured others are going to be doing it very soon. And as long as demand's there and they can push it, there's almost no reason for them not to. And I think they probably had several years of some tough times, and then now are seeing that conditions really must be changing, that they're comfortable enough at this point to raise prices the way they are.
At some point, when do families balk? I mean, I remember going to Disneyland when I was a young kid with my sisters, and I'm sure ticket prices back then were $30 or $40. Look, things have obviously changed since then, but back then a family could afford to go to Disneyland. I'm not quite sure today that a family of 4 or 5 really realistically could spend a couple days in Disneyland without breaking the bank.
Well, one thing for sure, if they do go there, they're essentially going to be having their only vacation of the year, because the average family is going to be pressured. And they're probably going to have to drive and do it overnight, or spend as little time in a hotel, maybe cut back on the hotel costs if they possibly can. But I think Disney's figured it out, and I think some of the other theme parks have figured it out, that if they can get that product that the kids want, the parents are going to do it. And I think what we're really looking at is a sea change in attitude towards spending money. Disney's not, and the theme parks are not pushing things up because they think they're going to lose lots of business. They're pushing things up because they're seeing people spend more, and they have the comfort now that the consumer is back. And that's really the key to this. It's the economy, and it's showing.
Yeah, I mean, and the economy is certainly better. The job situation is certainly much better than where it was 4 or 5 years ago. But how much of this is parental guilt? You take your kids, I mean, whether you have kids or your grandkids, and they feel like, oh, well, grandpa and grandma or mom and dad, you have to take me to Universal Studios or Disney World. And it doesn't really matter whether it's $100 or $200 a ticket. You're going to be guilted into spending and opening up your wallet. And then when you get to the theme park, by the way, you're not likely packing a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You're going to spend another $30, $40 on the meals at the theme park and then buying souvenirs. You're going to be spending a lot of money, and maybe that's just, you're guilted into it, right?
Well, there's no question that the parents, are guilted in. The kids want to go, and the parents want to give them whatever they possibly can. But the money does matter, and Disney and the other theme parks that are pushing things up, they're not doing it just simply because they think that the parents can be guilted into it. We came through a difficult recession where parents were simply saying, we don't need this anymore. And they did lose a lot of business as a result of that. So, guilt plays a role in it, but they have the product there that they are totally convinced. And then whether it's Harry Potter or it's Frozen, if the kids want it, guilt plays a role so they can push it up. $200 would matter, but the difference between $95 and $100, no parent's going to keep their kid from going to Disney for $5 a day. No question about
Joel,
that.
but you know what the problem is here, right? It's basically those who can afford it, middle class to the rich, they get to take their kids and they get to go to Disneyland. The poor, the working class, they don't get to go. They're essentially excluded from this, this experience. Is there any way for companies like Universal Studios or Disneyland, I know I'm excluding other theme parks as well, is there any way they can create some sort of program where at least they subsidize or provide the opportunity for some of these kids, especially in poor neighborhoods, and we've recently talked about what's happening in Baltimore as well, that the gap between the rich and poor has gotten very blatant. Is there a way companies or responsibilities that they have to close that gap?
I'm not sure that they don't try and do some of these outreach. I'm not really familiar with the kinds of specialized programs that Universal or Disney may have in terms of making it more affordable for poor income classes or schools coming from poorer neighborhoods to be able to get special deals. I think they're doing it. It's only good, public relations for them, but I'm not sure how much you can do. it. I mean, the real question is there's a huge market in the middle class and the upper income households. How much are they going to, cut the prices, and what kind of demand are they going to get and transfer the demand to lower priced, segments of the market?
Here's an international question for you. We've talked about theme parks and how they've catered towards the international market. Now, look, if you're flying in from Brazil or China or Hong Kong or London, look, you're rich, okay? Poor people are not getting on a plane flying to Florida to go visit the theme parks. So they certainly have means. How much of this is based upon the fact that demand is so strong on an international basis that that's gotten Disney and Universal Studios feeling quite comfortable that the demand is very strong? You've got people flying in from international marketplaces. You can see that by the travel count at Orlando Airport, that they feel, hey, look, we've got a lot of people flying into town, so we're going to start to cater towards that international market a little bit more.
Well, again, what you're talking is my language. I'm an economist. And if you can expand your market and you can get higher prices by bringing in an international market, you're doing that. Obviously, the dollar being strong isn't particularly helpful to Disney, but the reality is exactly what you said. If you can be attractive to people around the world, then it'll be the upper income households that come to the United States to go to Disney World or Disneyland, and they'll pay those prices. For them, it really doesn't matter. And so they're able to attract a market that's not U.S., that's not an average U.S. family necessarily. And once you expand the market there, they're doing it. They're profit maximizing companies, let's face it.